Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flossmas for 2024. I am Deborah, and you are so welcome to my channel, Kensington Cross Stitch. So over the next 4 Sundays, I will be joining you for a video each of those weeks, in addition to talking about stitchy content and my own personal preparations for Christmas, which is the holiday that I celebrate. We'll also be sharing some cross-stitch advent calendars. I've got a Lego advent calendar to share with you. Probably you'll get to see some of my Christmas decorations going up. They are, at this point, what you see behind me is pretty much all there is at this point, but, and then some Christmas stitching that I'll be working on over the next couple of weeks. So lots of good things to join in on this year, and I hope that you will have fun with the videos. I know I really enjoyed connecting with so many of you last year as we went through this process. So like I said, I'll be filming 4 videos this year, really just taking advantage of the fact that the December 1st is the first Sunday of Advent this year. So each of those Sundays I'll be talking at the end of the videos a little bit about each of the Advent Sundays as we head into that season. So again, welcome, and I hope that you enjoy what you see. I am going to grab a little bit of coffee. I have my Christmas Carol Fezziwig's Christmas Party mug that I am having a little bit of coffee in this morning, and then we'll get started with the content. So the first couple of things to show you in our videos today is a couple of advent calendars. So much like I did last year, I'm going to be opening up 2 cross-stitch advent calendars, one of which is from Tom and the Lake Creations, and it's their thread advent calendar. And then I'm also opening up the Historical Sampler Company advent box. Both of those I bought last year, really loved them, had to appreciate and enjoy them again this year. And then this year, I will also be opening up a Lego Advent Calendar with you, which I'll get to in just a couple of minutes, and then we'll carry on with a little more stitchy content. So, first thing to show you is our Tom and Lily threads, and so fortunately, it was just a little bit loose, so I don't even have to break the fancy little one there in order to open this up. Oh, very beautiful. So this is a thread called California Dreamin', and it is kind of a purpley blue, kind of a lilac, and a bright fuchsia pink, which is really fun. So that's going to be great for kind of a monochromatic piece in the future. So that is our Tom and Lily Creations Day 1 Advent Calendar. Next, I do have my Day 1 of the Advent Historical Sampler Company Advent box, and I have not peeked, but I did slit that sticker just so that we don't have quite so much wrinkling, I hope, as we open these up. Oh, very beautiful. So this is our first pattern. This year it's going to come with, I believe, 6 patterns, and it does come with their specially made Zweigart Sage Green Ada. And then also in the box, you get all of the threads and some of the trimmings in order to finish, to stitch and finish each of your pieces. So I'm sure we'll have a chance to see those later in the year. So that is just a sweet little gingerbread house pattern for Day 1. So fantastic. Those are our 2 stitchy advent calendars. And then what I'm going to show you next is something of a unique advent calendar from Lego. So this is actually, it's not available on the commercial market. This was something that was made for employees. Lego makes an employee gift each year, and you can find some of those on the secondary market, which is where I got mine. And I had to buy this one because it's a gingerbread advent calendar made out of Legos. So as you can see behind me, there are 4 more pieces. I am going in the opposite direction. Sorry, everybody. There are 3 more pieces back there, and I just pulled this one up to make it a little easier and so that you can see it. And what you do is what I did is kind of at the end of November, I put together the advent calendar, and then as you're building it, you're also putting pieces into the different drawers. You don't know what you're making, and then there is a special booklet that you open up once you begin Advent in order to start building your pieces. So I initially thought that we would be building a bunch of individual little pieces, much like you find in a commercial Advent calendar. Putting the pieces in, I was like, maybe we're going to be making one. I'm not really sure. I have no idea what it is that we're making with this Advent calendar. So I'm just going to pull out my first drawer here. Oh, this is going to be a minifig. So this often is the case with Lego sets, is the first thing that you build is one of the little minifigures. So my guess is I'm not even going to have to look at the instructions on this one, but we've got body and our legs put together. We've got a face. And he's got glasses, and he's got a little bit of a consternated look. He's a little bit just like, what's going on here? And then we'll give him some hair. He's got very 70s hair going on, I do have to say. There we go. Got his sideburns, and then I've got a little hammer. So let's see. There we go. So that is our first piece for today, and I'm actually going to take a look at the instructions now just to make sure. Most of the time, yep, there we go. That was our first day. So most of the time I'm going to have to look at these instructions, but minifigs you can kind of figure out. So that is our couple of advent calendars for the day. And since I am only filming one day a week, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be opening these up during the week, and I'll show you kind of quickly in each of our videos what it was that I opened up in the previous week. So getting back a little bit to the stitchy content, what I'm going to be doing is, rather than stitching one piece over the course of the month like I did last year, I have picked out 4 smalls that I would like to have finished by the end of the Advent season, and I've gotten those all kitted up and ready to go. So I will show you those because we have 4 Sundays, but really sort of 3 weeks there. In terms of the videos that you'll be seeing, I am going to be stitching a little bit of heads, but for this first one, I did want to show you the piece that I have selected, as well as actually a bonus piece that I stitched yesterday because I had a little bit of extra time. So you know what? That one's on top, so I'm going to start with that one. So I had a little stitchy day with some friends yesterday, so I decided to get started on this Bent Creek piece, and it's called A Merry Little Christmas. And this is one that I have always loved. I think it is just such a sweet little piece. And so I decided to get that started yesterday, and I used, anytime I have the called for threads, I do use those. If not, I just pull from my stash, so good mix there. And here is my started and completed piece. I did finish the whole thing yesterday. As you can see, I decided to not stitch the box frame around it, in part because I think it will make a really cute circular finish and something that I could hang on the tree, finish in a variety of ways. So I did leave off the border, but I thought that one was just a really sweet piece. So that was kind of my bonus chart for this year, and hopefully you will be seeing it fully finished sometime over the next couple of weeks. All right, so in terms of the pieces that I'm going to be stitching this month, the first one that I chose is a Brenda Gervais pattern with a needle and thread. And this is one that came out a year or 2 ago, I think. And when you buy it, it comes with 3 patterns, and it also comes with the finishing pieces so that you can finish them as little ornaments. And I've decided, rather than stitching all 3, I am going to stitch this one in the corner, which is the 2 reindeer and a pile of peppermints. And I also have a piece that I'm going to finish it on in the round, which looks like some peppermints. And so I thought that would be a great kind of way to do that. And so as I mentioned, I'm planning to finish just that one. And so the pattern was originally intended to be stitched on 40 count. In order to fit the size of the piece that I'm going to be finishing it on, I've pulled out some 28 count Vintage Country Mocha. So a little bit bigger than intended, but I think that'll just be a beautiful fabric to stitch on. And again, if I had the called for, which is kind of a mix of DMC and fancy floss, I did pull those, and anything else I just pulled from my stash. So that is the piece that I will hopefully be finishing over the next week. We do have the Jingle Ball coming up next weekend, so I figure I purposefully picked the biggest of the smalls, if that makes sense, to work on first, knowing that I will probably be having some solid stitching time during the Jingle Ball next weekend. All right, so that's the little stitchy bit that I have for today. And then, as I mentioned, I'm taking advantage of the fact that we have the 4 Sundays of Advent starting on December 1st this year, which just is when we normally kind of start the traditional Advent, kind of Advent boxes and things like that. So the religious tradition that I grew up in certainly celebrated Christmas, but it didn't really focus on the Sundays of Advent leading up to Christmas. And so I decided that this was the year I was going to learn a little bit more about that tradition that you might find in some other religions. So last year I picked up this little book. It's called the Family Advent Activity Book, 'Tis the Season. And my understanding is this is available at least at Target this year. I got my copy on Amazon, and I really got it because I really enjoy this artist. Her name is Jill Howarth, and she's also a quilt designer, and amongst other things, a quilt fabric designer. So I kind of got the book intentionally because I was interested in her art, but I like the fact that it is also this celebration of Advent. And it's divided up into the 4 weeks. And so there's also a little bit of an Advent calendar in the covers. So I did open up today's, which tells us to decorate a tree. I don't think I'm going to get my tree decorated today, although I did go out very early and I picked up my tree. It is currently set up. This is the year of imperfections. Like getting the tree was an adventure, getting it into the stand was an adventure. It's crooked, and I'm like, you know what? That's how it's going to be this year. But so I'm letting the branches relax. So I don't think I'm going to do the decorating today, but it'll be something that happens over the next couple of days, probably. So, as I mentioned, this book is divided up into the weeks of Advent, and it is intended to be something that you can do as a family, but of course, I'm happy to enjoy it on my own. So, this week is really about focusing on hope, which is often the first week of Advent is considered the Hope Week. And you'll notice actually also behind me, I have, again, opposite. I have these 4 candles. Traditionally, you also light 1 candle each week of Advent, and so I've lit the hope candle, and we'll see more of those as the weeks progress. But I haven't looked fully through this book yet because I want to enjoy it over the course of the week. But there are a number of different things in here. There are readings that you can do about Advent itself. There are questions that you can ask either yourself or your family members to talk about. There are a couple of games. So this week is a game of anticipation. And then there's also an idea about how to... one of the things that I really like is this one suggests for your Advent ornaments to actually wrap up 24 special ornaments, and then each day you put one of them on the tree. So rather than decorating all at once, you put one on the tree at a time. I didn't get my kind of decorating started enough in time, but I really like that, and that may be something that I do in the future. But for today, what I thought I would do is share with you 2 of the reflection questions that I was reading about related to hope. And so the first question is, what is the longest time you have waited for something? The longest time I have waited for something was for the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan to be finished being written and published, because I learned I was 16 at the time, and a couple of the books were out, and a friend of mine had been reading them, and he'd started reading it. It had become popular enough that people were paying attention and then really anticipating the next book in the series. They were having to wait for the next book. And I remember watching this friend and sort of his agony of waiting for these books. And I said, I am not going to read this series until it is done. And that way I can just sit down and I can read the entire thing. And I had to wait 16 more years. In part, the author passed away eventually. Someone else finished the series. It took a further 16 years, half my life, in order for the series to be finished. And then I sat down and I started reading it, and honestly, I really wasn't enjoying it. I shouldn't say that. I know it's a very popular series, and I should give it another try, but it was one of those things where I was like, I waited half my life, and then I decided that I wasn't actually going to do this thing after all. So that's the longest I've waited for something. And then the other question was, when have you become impatient in a season of waiting and tried to speed things up in your own way, and what happened? And I would have to say I'm learning that right now. viewers of my channel know that one of my cats has escaped outside and he's living that outdoor cat life. And I have definitely had a couple of times in which I've tried to sort of speed things up and not work on his time and his comfort rather than just being like, you just need to get back inside. I know what's best for you. You need to get inside. And it always just sets us back a little bit. And so I know that needing to be patient and hopeful is something that is actually really important, and it's a lesson I'm learning again right now. So those were just a couple of the questions. There are, like I said, some readings and other activities in here, so I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about Advent and sharing some of these things with you in the future. So all right, that is our Flossmas video for week 1. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Whether it is that Christmas is something that you celebrate, or another holiday season, or just the fact that you enjoy winter, or if you're in the South Pole or South Hemisphere here. Wow, we're really sticking this landing. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere and this is your summertime, whatever it is, I hope that you are having a good week, a good stitchy week, and I will see you again next time. Bye, everybody.